Hey y'all, it's Hope here at Crafty Hope, and welcome! It's time for my week 34 mixed media prompt card for hashtag Crafty Hope prompts. I decided back in October, I started in September, but I started in October taking a regular deck of playing cards. There's 52 cards in a deck, and I realized there's also 52 weeks in a year, and I motioned to this because this had 156 prompts in it. That's enough for 3 prompts a week for the 52 weeks in a year. So starting October, that was my week 1. I started drawing 3 prompts a week each Monday, and then used those prompts to alter both sides of a playing card. This is the one I did last week for week 33. And so I use those prompts. I'll do the playing card. I kind of think through those prompts and play with them and develop another idea so that on Saturday of each week, I'm taking those same 3 prompts and doing another project. This past week, I did a tag altered from a flashcard. I've done art journal pages and junk journal pages and more tags and altered assemblage projects and jewelry and all kinds of different things. Bookmarks, I don't even know. All kinds of things. There's a full playlist. You'll find a link to that at the end that you can explore and maybe get inspired with that. Or you can hop on now and see what I make today, see what I draw today, and decide if you want to experiment with these prompts yourself. Now you can use the prompts that I draw each week, or you can print out that list that I have, that 156 prompts. I have that whole list below for you, and you can start now and make it your week 1, or you can pick up where I am and just get inspired and play with your mixed media supplies. All right, guys. Let's get to it. If you have questions about any of that, please don't hesitate to ask. You know, I'm on week 34, so doing that spiel every week, it's hard for me to like make a new spin on it, make it sound exciting, but I hope I'm being thorough enough. And if something's holding you back from participating, let me know, you know. I'd be happy to help and, you know, answer questions in any way. Okay, I'm going to put these weeks 1 through 33 aside. Yeah, they're gonna just topple a little bit, and I'm going to start drawing prompts. Draw my 3 prompts. The first prompt I have is soft pastel. Okay, y'all, I actually used that in, I think, this past card. I used soft pastel, so that's really funny. I thought that I hadn't drawn it yet. So soft pastels are like those chalky type pastels, like some of them are round, some are square. I've got some, I think, triangle shaped. No, maybe they're square shaped. I don't know. But they're like chalky pigments. You can get high-end ones, low-end ones, whatever. If you don't have soft pastels, maybe you have pan pastels, or just chalk even, or even dry pigments. All of those things I think I would consider okay with the soft pastels. If you don't have any of those things, maybe look at my prompt list and come up with something that you haven't used yet from, you know, that may not be on my prompt list. But I'm trying to think if you've got maybe some oil pastels or some other kind of material like that. I'm drawing a blank right now, y'all. Maybe make some suggestions for me what might also be included for. I don't want you to go out and get a new supply, because if you don't have soft pastels, that's not what this challenge is about. This challenge for me is about using things that I have that I hardly ever use or forget to use or whatever, and soft pastels are definitely one of those things. So yeah, if you don't have soft pastels, I'm trying to think what you could find. Maybe a colored pencil would even be, because they are kind of soft-ish. Charcoal. A charcoal pencil would be really good too. Okay. I'm running out of ideas and I'm dragging this out. So let's go ahead and draw number 2. Number 2 is going to be to draw a face. Ooh, y'all, that reminds me, I need to do my 100-day project today. So, yeah, you can draw that with anything. You can do a pen, a pencil, a crayon, a paintbrush, and some ink. Yeah, just draw a face. I laugh because my 100-day project, which is, you know, the 100-day project's drawing to a close, I've got 2 of them, and one of them is to draw a face every day. So Yeah, I can maybe knock that out. We'll see. That's going to be difficult on both sides of the card, but I'm gonna make it work. I might even pull in some of my 100-day projects. I've got one of my faces. Oh, it got wet. Here. So, okay, draw a face. Easy, 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 easy. And our number 3 prompt is write with a paintbrush. So that just means using either paint or ink or I'm trying to think what other things you could use on a paintbrush. Some kind of paint or ink or something. Write something. So that can be your sentiment. It can be just some words in the background, like maybe even a cynic writing if you're not feeling like a certain sentiment or anything. Okay, this isn't too bad. I'm going to, I guess, grab some soft pastels and I got paintbrushes everywhere. This whole thing of dirty water here has got paintbrushes in it. All right, I'm gonna do it. Okay, like I said, I didn't have much together. Basically, I just grabbed some soft pastels because the draw with the face and paint with the paintbrush, I'll figure that out as we go. So soft pastels, I have several. This is my first set I've had forever, and I can't, it's something gallery. I linked it in my previous, I'll link it below if I use them. So have these Stampin' pastels, which I think are somewhat like pan pastels, maybe. It's from Stampin' Up. Somebody gave them to me. They were getting rid of them. So I have those. Oh gosh, you could even use like if you have eyeshadow or blush or something like that you don't use, that could be used as a soft. I don't know. I've never used those, but that could be a fun experiment. I also have this large set here. It's not a great set. It's fairly cheap. And then I picked up this fairly nice set of Grumbacher soft pastels at an estate sale last year sometime. Was it this year? I don't remember. So I've got soft pastels for days. So I don't ever use them. Surprised I used them last week. So I'm gonna pick up these prompts and alter my card real quick, and we're gonna knock this out. The first thing I like to do with these prompt cards is to collage on the card. I've mentioned this almost every video, but these playing cards are super laminated, just plasticky and awful, and so not much sticks to them. So to get kind of a jumping off point, especially since I'm going to use pastels, there's no way a pastel would go onto that plastic. So I'm putting down some paper collage, just different things. That's some kind of altered book page that I think I used some extra ink on, and I've got all kinds of stuff. I think this next thing is an eco print actually that was sitting in my stash, and I'm using acrylic matte medium to put them down with a paintbrush. And I'm really just trying to develop a little bit of texture, something for the pastels to pick up. Now, I didn't mention, the only thing I showed you I gathered was a soft pastel, because for drawing a face and writing with a paintbrush, I won't really need much. I need a paintbrush or whatever I'm going to draw with, and those are just things I have around. So until I got this kind of collage going on, I wasn't really sure what other supplies I was going to work with. And I keep a lot of those, the paintbrushes are right there, and all of my like drawing supplies are within reach. So, and they're not going to be super complex. So I didn't gather much of anything. So I have almost got this one side of this card collaged. I'm really liking it. Unfortunately, it will get mostly covered up, but that's okay. These are just scraps that are sitting around and I'm using them, so yay. So once I get that down and dried, I'm going to go ahead and trim the edges, and I will do the same thing on the other side, put some collage down and go for it. So I think for this side, I start with, instead of, what did I put on the other side? Was that altar book page? It's going to be dictionary paper. You can see it sitting there on the right, and it's large enough that it'll go over most of my card. But look, I really like how pretty that is. There was something about that eco print. It had like blues and greens in it, and it so much makes me want to get out. We've got a bunch of like wildflowers blooming right now that are like bright yellows, and I want to go gather them and make some eco prints. But y'all, I haven't been using the eco prints I have, and I hate to build up more supplies when I'm not using the ones I have. So, yeah. So that's a thing. So I'm making myself, I actually might go get some just to try a new technique, which is to pound a flower on some paper or fabric to get a print that way. So it's not something I've ever done. So I want to do that today, but I'm trying to get like all of these videos ready for y'all first. So, okay. So, and I'm playing catch up because I had to go out of town this past week, and yeah, there was a lot of things I didn't, when you miss a whole day of doing things, it's hard to catch back up. So, all right, so back to it. I'm drying this bit of collage, and then once again, I will trim all the edges. I can't believe I didn't edit out that drying. I don't know why I didn't do that. Huh. That is weird for me. I guess, I'm trying to get these up and I'm kind of rushing through some of my processes that I would normally rush through. So I've got a list over here of what else I want to do today. And I'm excited about all of them and hoping I can, I'm letting some things go by the wayside. Like I'm not going to deep clean the house today. I'm like, you know what, I'll get some of the clean things that have to get done. But the deep cleaning is just not going to happen. Maybe I'll have more energy tomorrow. You've got to make sacrifices sometimes. You got to figure out what your body is ready and willing to do. That was a little bit of just some Liquitex Basics gesso that I put down over that collage, and using a palette knife to kind of move it around to give it a little bit of texture as well. And y'all, I had no idea what I was going to do, but I wanted to kind of push back that bit of collage on there so I had a better surface for whatever came next. And once I got it dry, I went ahead and grabbed those are, what did I say, like the oldest pastels that I have in my stash. And I'm using an old blunt knife to kind of shave, I guess, a little bit of that deep green on there. And because pastels move around a lot, they don't really stick very often. I've got my acrylic matte medium that I put on that same palette knife to kind of seal in the color of the pastel. Super neat little technique. Something I haven't tried before, but I thought, you know what? Let's try it. And it worked. So I'm going to dry this real quick and then try another technique with the pastel. So this time I'm just going to grab a black one and put it on some of the edges of this. And then I'm going to go grab a little bit of walnut oil. This is something I got at my supermarket. Apparently you can use linseed oil, which you can get at the art supply store, but it has some things that I don't like. Like if you get it on a rag and you crumple it up, it can spontaneously combust into fire or something. And y'all, that makes me so nervous. That is not my jam. So one thing I saw you could use instead is like a walnut oil. And so, yeah, I went and bought walnut oil because it's not going to catch on fire. I'm such a safety girl. So you can see I just kind of activated that oil around the places I put it. And because it will take forever for it to dry, I decided to go ahead and grab a paper towel and just kind of blend it out. So it was, the paper towel would soak up that oil some and add that color onto the card. And I couldn't decide which side of the card I wanted to put my prompts on and which side I wanted to put my decorative side. So I thought, okay, I'm going to leave this side blank, think about it, and work on the other side. And I told you this is the side that I love so much. But again, I can do other things. This is what I do. I make art. So I decided to try to use the white pastel as kind of a gesso. And so I'm rubbing it all over the card. And then grabbing that acrylic matte medium again and my palette knife once again. And I'm going to kind of pat I rubbed it first, but then I start patting it to see if I could get some texture on here as well because I could see that between the matte medium and the pastel, I could see little texture lines. I don't think they end up showing up much in the end of this. They help a tiny bit, but it was a fun experiment. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a face on here. I am using a rollerball pen from the Dollar Tree, y'all. These are one of those things that I just happened to have and had wet one time and it bled. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. So Um, I will be wetting this in a minute, but first I'm going to draw my face. I tend to draw my faces all the same kind of way, but their expressions always come out a little different. So you'll see when I draw the next face that, I start with the eyes and then I add like eyebrows and the nose. Yeah. So here is my just face sometimes, and I don't ever know if they're boys or girls or whatever. And this one definitely you can tell, I don't know. It's just a person. And then I've got some Liquitex acrylic ink, and I can't think what this color is. It's a green, but it's, yeah, I'll put it below. I can't think of what it is. And I've got a paintbrush with a really long, skinny brush on it, and I'm doing kind of a form of a cymic writing, but really I'm writing the prompts. I don't know if you can see that at all, but I've written the prompts there because I've decided this is going to be my prompt side. And once that is all written, I've got my distress sprayer and I'm going to spritz all of this. And the acrylic ink doesn't really run because I didn't put enough on there for it to be super juicy. But that pen totally, the face ran all over the place. So I'm going to dry this, and you can still kind of see the face there, but it's not a big deal. This is the functional side. I just had to have a face on it somehow. And I cut out my prompt words and am gluing them down with my Oohoo glue stick. And really, y'all, I think that's all I'm going to do on this side. Oh, no, I've got something I'm going to add in a little while. Or is that? No, I'm going to do it right now. So I grabbed an orange pastel and I'm going right around each of these. I thought the orange would be a great contrast to the green that was on there. So I rubbed that around there and I'm going to go ahead and use my finger and just kind of blur it a little bit so it's rubbed in and not super loose. And I'll write 34 in the upper corner so that I know it's my week 34 list of prompts. And that side's done. So it's time for me to work on my decorative side. And I'm going to think about this for a minute and grab my Stabilo All pencil and go ahead. And again, I'm starting with the eyes, making eyebrows. And then I will, eyelids. And then I'll do eyebrows, a nose, and a mouth. And then I draw the shape of the face. I put in a neck. And then shoulders and a collar. And then hair. It's, I don't know, like a formula I do. If you've got a better method for it, let me know. Now, it becomes pretty obvious to me that this face is really upset about something, like just dead eye meanness, and I'm not super happy with it. And with that green in the background, it gives me a very zombie-ish feel. And it's not the happy-go-lucky cards that I want to make, but it's what this card became. It probably reflected my mood some, because I was feeling a bit rushed and hurried, and not that freedom of creating that I like to feel when I'm doing these cards. So it definitely reflected my mood. So I got too much water on one side, and that left eye, woof. If you'll look at any of my other, like the 100-day project faces I've drawn, my left eyes are almost always like funkier than my right eyes on them. So it's really funny. I can't ever get those eyes just exact, but that's the fun of making it and exploring. All right, so that is done. I'm going to pull out that same paintbrush, and then I go and start looking for some ink. And I've got this, it's some kind of calligraphy ink that somebody gave me. It's ooky and gooky and weird, and I probably can't link to it because I don't even know if it's made anymore. And I sit there, and I'm not cutting out the time here. It's sped up a little bit, but I could not decide what kind of sentiment I wanted to put on here. Because I knew I was going to use my write with the paintbrush to put a sentiment or a word. And because of my emotions and the zombie look of that face, I just could not decide what felt appropriate. And I was kind of like, okay, I need to put just a single word. I don't have much space on here. And so I finally decided on the word breathe, just because that's probably what I needed to do to calm myself, was to take a few breaths, maybe meditate a minute, but I felt like I don't have time for that. I need to get these things done. So instead, I am just going to write this out with this, and it's like a dark brown color. So this whole thing feels, I don't know, it's It's a very odd card. I'm sorry about that. But I decided I needed to brighten it up somewhere. I needed to give it some happy. And what I decided that would be was some of the Reflex Rose Amsterdam acrylic ink. I don't know why. I was just like, pink will help. Pink's a happy color, isn't it? So I'm going to splatter that with my fan brush on the card. And I guess it works. It gives it some, I don't know. It gives it some texture. And I'm going to dry it, and that will be it for this card. I'm looking forward to getting the project done this week and maybe making something that's a little less zombie-ish. Alright guys, if you like this, make sure to give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I hope you will play along and show me what you can make with these 3 prompts. Alright guys, see you later. Bye.